You are welcome to HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. We have over the past months made video releases explaining how the government very likely cornered the women that testified against R. Kelly, and forced them to turn against him by threatening charges on them. While many who believe in our stories got the message right, there are many others that doubted this. But again, there happens to be another footage we are going to play for you shortly in this video, that shows one of the bad act accusers, Jerhonda Pace, confessing to this same conspiracy in video. The witnesses were told by the government to choose between being used prejudicially against R. Kelly, or being subpoenaed to defend themselves against their own charges that were never disclosed to them, forcing them to lie on R. Kelly as a way to guarantee their own safety. This act alone was a great compromise to the credibility and authenticity of the government witnesses, and their testimony should never have had any impact on the case. It is an act of blackmail by the government to condition potential defense witnesses amidst intimidation, to cross over to the prosecution side and bear false witness on the defendant in exchange for their own freedom. No wonder this explains why Lisa Van Allen may have chosen to lie about her age in an attempt to convince the jury that she was a victim, something she clearly wasn't. The woman was only trying to protect herself from the tyranny of the government officials who had threatened her prior. One may wonder how the courts were able to overlook such an important claim as this that could affect the case to a large extent, and probably see all the charges against R. Kelly dropped at a single hearing. This act was equivalent to witness intimidation and should be punishable by law. Intimidated witnesses usually lose their viability as potential agents of justice because of their capability to mislead the courts of law. In a video featuring Jerhonda Pace speaking out on this matter, the young woman speaks of her decision to testify against R. Kelly as highly regrettable, and backs it up with very strong reasons. According to Jerhonda, one thing that she absolutely regrets in her life ever was speaking out against R. Kelly, because the negative things she said about him were never true after all. She adds that after she made her testimony public, her life has never been the same but rather filled with endless stress and anxiety. She never thought that the government would continue to demand a lot more once she made her story public for the first time, but then predictably, the feds remained on her case and demanded that she testifies against R. Kelly not once but twice, considering she was on cue as one of the witnesses that were going to take the stand again if the Chicago state charges had not been dropped. In her speech, she explains how the entire process of having to forcefully testify against the R&B King during the New York trial was wearing her out, starting with the filing of charges to the trial itself, after which Robert was determined guilty by the jury. She then thought it was the end of it and that she would return to living her life and forget she ever lied on anyone, putting everything in her past. But then, the very same federal agents were again at her doorstep demanding that she testifies again during the Chicago trials that were still pending. When Jerhonda was ordered by the feds to testify for the second time, this time she was hesitant and asked them to leave her doors, stating she was done with telling the forced lies. The feds, who just wouldn't leave the young woman alone, made her believe they knew she had the right to choose whether to do this or not, but before she could celebrate, the feds couldn't help it but threaten her again with the possibility that Jerhonda would be subpoenaed and eventually arrested, something she describes as a catch-22 situation she could not avoid even if she wanted to. I mean, who wants to be subpoenaed and arrested? Imagine having a witness describe the government's involvement in getting her to testify as a catch-22 situation, to mean that she felt trapped and helpless. This leaves a very bad mark on the reputation and professionalism of the district attorney's office. Take a look.
Absolutely regret. And that is speaking out against R. Kelly and just coming forward and telling my story. It has been so stressful. I absolutely hate that I even decided to be strong and tell my story, because my life has not been the same. Nothing about my life has been the same. I haven't had a peace of mind or anything. I've been so stressed out about all of this, and I thought that once I told my story and filed charges and went through the trial, and I testified and he was found guilty, I was like, okay, that's the end of it. I can finally close that chapter and just be done and move on. Like, now it's finally in my past. I can, officially just start healing. I just officially wanted to heal. Like, I was like really excited that I could just, be myself. I can finally breathe. Like, that's no longer weighing me down. Right? Wrong. Because today, Homeland Security showed up at my house and they're like, yeah, you have to testify. And I'm like, no, I don't want to testify. I don't want to go through that again. I testified in New York. I do not want to testify in Chicago. Like, I am done. In all honesty, I said, fuck it. Like, fuck it. I'm not doing it again. Leave me alone. And it was like, okay, well, if you don't, participate and, testify in this trial, then you don't have to. And I was like, okay. I'm sorry, they said if I don't want to, I don't have to. And I say, okay, good. It's like, but, however, you will be subpoenaed. And if you're subpoenaed, you have to show up. And if you don't show up, then you get arrested. And then after, get processed out. And then guess what? You still have to testify. So it's literally a catch-22 situation. It's like a lose-lose situation for me. Like, I don't want to do this. So like, just leave me the fuck alone. But it's not that easy. And this is why I regret the shit. Like, I was subpoenaed to.
According to Maurice, parading intimidated witnesses in front of the courts to lie on the defendant is something I had not envisaged despite government's usual habits of frustrating high-profile cases like these. By the time a witness such as Jerhonda decides to take to social media to break her silence about this criminal conduct by the state, she must have felt very pressured by them. How I wish every other woman involved had the courage to speak out and tell the world what really happened. I am more than confident more such mind-blowing footage would surface and the conspiracy would be exposed. According to Monica Backstrom, the move by government to attempt such a coup on justice was not only ugly to look at, but an indicator of how they were willing to destroy R. Kelly no matter what it would cost. I mean, who does that? Whatever the state was involved in was equivalent to serious witness intimidation, which is punishable by law, and R. Kelly should have been acquitted on this basis, but as always, they were not about to release their big catch of a golden goose they couldn't wait to extort. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.